If you're wondering, why am I having a hard time as a single man in America or another Western country or really anywhere in the world, um, to find a good girl, a wife material? I am a good man. Well, that is actually the problem. You are a good man. And first of all, let me welcome you to my live stream. I am streaming from Bangkok, Thailand, where I live now for almost 2 years. Yes, I am a real world passport bro, as much as I hate this term, really. But today I want to talk about why women love assholes and why good guys, and you've heard this many times, why good guys finish last. And at no time ever has this been more sort of true than in the last 5 years with this kind of a new dating situation, as we now have the new era of modern dating. So let's talk about it now. Like I said, if you're a good man, and that is the problem. And I know you're saying, Alex, well, what do you mean? Aren't all women looking for a good man? They're always asking, where did the all good men go? And good men are hard to find. I've heard this many times. Well, here's the problem: you're listening to women when it comes to what women want. The last place you would go is to ask women about how to get good women who want a good man. And this is because first of all, you should never listen to anything that anybody says. You should judge everybody by their actions, but specifically women, because women love to lie. And they don't always just lie to you. They lie to themselves about what kind of a man they want. They A lot of times they don't even want to admit to themselves that, yeah, I want that guy. I know he's gonna be a cheater, but I just think he's hot. So they will lie to you just as much as they lie to themselves. So if you want to know what good, beautiful women want, or just good women want, you need to go to a man who is married to one. And those are hard to find, right? I gotta tell you, I don't think that I know any man in like my life, and I know a lot of good men. No, I know one. I do know one who is married to a good woman. Um, and it is very rare occurrence, especially in the Western world. Though this particular friend that I know lives in America, actually. And it's kind of like, you don't ask a fish how to fish, you ask a fisherman, right? I'm not sure if it's the best analogy that I've ever heard, but nevertheless, it is the one that I've heard a lot, and I kind of obviously agree with that, because don't listen to women. As a matter of fact, when women give each other advice, and you see them do that on the internet all the time, right? My goodness, you listen and go like, oh my God, how can you be so clueless? I mean, unless you hate your friend, why would you be given this advice to the friend that you like and care for? That's just because how women are. And don't listen to women when it comes to women. And women will tell you that, oh, I really want a good man. But here's the problem: what they don't want is boring man. And a good man who is stable, has a nice income, cares for his wife, doesn't cheat, doesn't beat her up, doesn't, go out drinking with guys over the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, they're boring. And you know what? I think I am one of those men. If you ask me, if when a girl is with me, she gets a stable, life where she's provided for. Yes, I take usually my girls out, my ex-girlfriends out on dates several times a week, and flowers. Despite the fact that I'm very much red pill, I'm still very much a romantic. So when I find the right girl, she gets treated very, very well. I don't want to say like a princess. I hate when people say that. um, but she gets treated very, very well. So it's boring at the same time. There's no drama. I don't yell and scream. I don't cheat. She's never like, you know with my ex, we always tracked each other on the phones, just in case if something happens. Just if I have a heart attack, I want her to know where I'm at, right? Which hospital I'm at. If something happens to her or she gets kidnapped, I want to know where to go and find her and save her, right? It was never about like, who are you with some, no, we trusted each other 100%. But like, it's boring. It's boring that she knows where I'm at all times, and I'm not hiding it. Many times I would give her my phone to use or whatever unlocked, and she can dig into any of the messages she wants if she wants to. They never did. But all of this is boring. What's not boring is the guy who would cause drama, who would abuse and cheat, and in some cases, physically abuse, and try to fuck your best friend. I mean, that is exciting. That is exciting with women. They will never admit it. They will never admit it. But I know personally, I do have a few female friends and or women that I know sort of in the professional world, and every single girl, like good girls, even like good girls, man, every time they introduce their new boyfriends to me, I was like, wow, he is going to destroy you. And a lot of times they go like, well, but you're so cute. I'm like, he will destroy you. And every time, oh my God, I can't believe this is abusive asshole. He's like, abusive asshole that you picked, right? You asked me for my opinion, and I was like, that kind of sounds like an abusive asshole. But you were like, but he's so cute. Well, there you go. And so there's almost no exception to this rule, unfortunately. And people ask, well, why aren't women thinking this way anymore? Why they don't want the women used to want the boring life? Well, the answer is, unfortunately, is the same most of the time, because most women nowadays, and men, are raised by single mothers. And when they're not, when they actually have fathers present, a lot of those fathers were raised by single mothers, so they become simps. I would argue 95% of American men are simps. So is it that much better being raised by a simp father? I just did a video about it. Than being raised by a single mother? Though, no, there's pretty much no difference at all. If anything, a simp father reinforces the essentially almost the opposite role that a man and a woman should play. So when you raise women who don't know what good, strong men are, they're not going to know what good men are. So can you really blame them? I feel that lately, in the last several years, let me diverse a little bit here, because so before I started this channel, I ran a channel about electric cars for 7 years. It was my full-time job, and one of the reasons I stopped that channel is because I really, really, really wanted to start this channel, and I knew that I would get canceled in the real world dealing with automakers. My sponsors will all disappear. My partners, like even good people that I met in the industry that was always been guests on my show or helping me report on the issues, they would all run away from this. And I just knew it, and that's why I stopped. But there were other reasons, of course. But the with the previous channel, and now I know I'm diverting a little bit, but with and not just diverting, I'm just trying to see if it's if how much I really want to share about my previous channel. But let me get back to that in just a second. But when going back to women who essentially are raised by single mothers, and there's just no way to know what good men are, we kind of have to sell them the concept what a good man is. That was my point from the electric car channel. I had to sell an idea before I could say, hey guys, Tesla is a great electric car, or Volkswagen is a great electric car, or BYD is a great electric car. First, I had to prove to people and have them buy into the concept that electric cars are better than gas cars. And a lot of you watching right now still are not buying that fact. They are. But before that, before I could say that, well, you should buy a Tesla, you should buy a Volkswagen or whatever, I usually said, don't buy a Tesla, but buy a Volkswagen. I literally buy anything else but a Tesla. That is a two-step process. And this is where we're at with dating. It is a two-step process, to first to prove to a girl that being with a man, being with a good man, is better than being with an asshole. Or nowadays, women just think that they're better off just on their own, right? We're no longer competing a lot of times with other good men. If I was to compete with other like decent men, I feel like, okay, I know what my competition is. I know how to improve myself. I know how to position myself. I know how to find a niche, and off I go. And I've always was able to succeed because, if you're a good man, it used to be that's all you need to be. Just be a good man, take care of yourself, and there will always be a good woman by your side. But now that's just not enough. Being a good man is just no longer enough because women don't know what a good man actually is. And, now you have to compete with simps. And that is much harder. You can never compete with simps. If a woman is accepting simps in her life, meaning she is out there seeking compliments, seeking attention, seeking validation, and accepting money via Cash App for her morning coffee or her next purse, you will lose every time. And you shouldn't really compete. As a matter of fact, these women are not your target audience. Now, of course, you can say, well, Alex, but most women are like this. Well, yes, most women nowadays are not your target audience. This is why I'm here in Thailand. I have already came to a conclusion that really there are no women left in America, and I really had no choice. If I wanted to find a good woman as a good man, I had to go somewhere else. Thailand ended up being my new home. Trust me, it's not all butterflies and kittens. It's not that easy. There are its own nuances. One of them is that you kind of need to learn Thai, which is a very difficult language to learn. I'm still in the middle of it, in order to actually find these amazing women, but they're absolutely here. Yet I'm 100% convinced that they are no longer in America. So they're just no longer available there. And if you're a good man, you just, like I said, competing with simps, you will always lose. Now, secondly, you're going to compete with something even worse than simps. And I got to tell you, it is creeping in here in Thailand as well, Southeast Asia and other countries. Essentially, women convincing themselves in each other. Remember how we talked about how women always give the worst advice to each other about how to find a good man? Well, this is one of them. They've convinced each other that they don't need no man. And it's funny because Thai women convince themselves of that for different reasons that Western women convince themselves of that. But at the end of the day, the result is the same. You're competing against, a couch and the Netflix account. Can you compete with that? No. So this is why, channels like mine and much, 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 much more popular channels out there exist. And this is going to continue. This problem is going to continue for a while. And the sooner men realize what's really happening, the better it is for them. And of course, you have three choices, right? One, you can become, and if you're watching me from America, the chances of you being a simp are very high, like 95%, like I said. Or Europe. When I say America, I mean essentially a westernized, Americanized country. I'm going to Kenya next month, and because everybody pretty much speaks English there, I'm starting to get a feeling as I'm kind of feeling out the dating scene through a couple of dating apps by changing the location. I have a feeling that a lot of women, will be behaving very similar to American women or Americanized women here in Southeast Asia. So, the nuances are definitely different, but the result is the same. This is why I think the only way to go is to actually move. And this is why I have the millionmanproject.com, as you can see right here, the millionmanproject.com. This is essentially something that it took 3 months out of my life before I started this channel to kind of give guidance to any guy who wants to move, get the fuck out of America, get away from entitled Western women, get away from being a second-class citizen, whatever it is that your problem is as being a single man in a Western country. And it's not that easy. It is not that easy. Many men do it the wrong way. I would say 90% of dudes that I see here, they're walking around with the same fucking type of a woman. Say, yeah, I mean, you look at them, they're Thai women, but they're not really Thai women. They're Thai women who have learned how to, squeeze the balls out of a simp, how to squeeze his wallet, and how to essentially act entitled, do pretty much nothing while the guy simps and pays for everything. And then she moves on to another guy or double times the move, whatever. So I see 90% of guys who move here because they bring themselves here. And that's a big part of my course, is that how much you have to improve yourself. And some of you guys, unfortunately, especially younger guys, don't even know what a good woman is. There's a whole module in my course where I outline what a good traditional woman is and the benefits of being with a good traditional woman, which is insane because we used to call them women. And you can just look at your mother or your grandmother and realize, well, that's what a good wife is. No more, no more, right? It all comes back to being raised by single mothers, whether you're a boy or a girl. The result is going to be devastating, and we're seeing that with the new dating culture. So a lot of these guys, they come here and they don't do any better than they did, in America. I mean, I guess just like with everything, they spend less money on these girls, but the result is absolutely the same. And the thing is, they don't even know that. I mean, I don't really like confronting people here. And a couple of times I have confronted some guys here and just saying, listen, man, you're simping. You're doing exactly the same thing that you would have done in America. Why are you here? Your wife or your girlfriend is completely useless as a woman, and yet she's the love of your life. You're giving all of your resources, and there's some guys here, like there's some laws here in Southeast Asia and other traditional countries where you cannot own land, and a lot of these guys essentially give their money to their girlfriends and wives so they can buy the land to build a house on. But to me, it's the same as paying the alimony up front. So it is crazy what these guys do when they come here, and it's all because they don't know any better. There are a couple of guys that I'm talking to right now who came to Thailand, and they kind of reached out to me because I always offer help. Let me help you to settle down here, understand the dating culture and everything. And I'm having a really hard time telling these guys that, guys, you are simps, you are simping, and they just don't see it. I like, sometimes they'll send me these conversations that they're having with girls, and how like the conversation is at least on Android, it's blue, and the girls' conversation is in white. And I said, listen, there's 95% of blue and 5% of white. How else can I tell you she's not that interested in you if you're writing her 2-3 messages, actually writing it out, and she just replies, cool, yes. What about you? Actually, that's not even sometimes a treat to when they even give a shit about asking you questions. And these guys, they just don't see it, and they will shower them with compliments. They will offer them money. I mean, even the guy, I have this one guy actually who basically came here, and he started realizing that a lot of foreigners here have ruined a lot of Thai women, especially the ones that speak English. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's like, oh my God, they simp for them. They give them money. And what does this guy do a week later? When I see his conversations, he simps for these girls. He gives them compliments. He gives them way too much time and attention. And at one point, he just offered a girl money. And, oh, but it's not too much. It's like, no, dude, you either giving money to a woman or you're not, and if you are, you're contributing to a problem. Yes, you're ruining yet another good girl here in Thailand or whatever, country you chose, whatever traditional country you chose. And most importantly, you're making her into a hoe. When a girl accepts money from a man, essentially for spending time with him, you making this girl into a hoe. And a lot of these guys go like, well, but I came here for traditional wife. Well, why are you making this potential traditional wife into a hoe? I don't know. Put your fucking money away, dude. Yes, you should pay for her, drinks. And again, I'm going to say this again and again and again. Do not take these girls out on dates. Absolutely go and invite them to a cup of coffee or just a drink. $10 should be your budget. Now, here it's a little bit different because girls Some of them really don't have money at all, even though they work like 12-hour days without, weekends sometimes, or just have one day off. And so they genuinely don't have, and everything is pretty spread out here. So it's a huge city, at least Bangkok. But even if you go to provinces, the distances are even bigger and there's less public transportation. So it is okay to pay for a taxi, but never hand a money over to a girl. Sure, pay for the taxi when they arrive, pay for the drink when you're at the counter at the coffee shop, but don't hand over money to a girl. As soon as you do that, you're making her into a hoe. Now, if a girl is asking for money, then this should be the last goddamn time you ever talk to her, okay? But if she's not asking for money and you're inviting her somewhere, yes, pay for her things, to pay for things that need to happen in order for the date to happen, yet spend the minimum amount. I've had girls who basically said, listen, I'm like an hour away and I can't afford paying for a taxi. That's like, can you pay for my taxi? And I'm like, I'm sorry, what, how are you need a taxi to get to me? You live next to a subway station, you know how to use subway. So, I will send you a couple of bucks for the subway if you want that to be reimbursed. That's fine. And I'll buy you coffee, right? So I'll say, I will include that in the coffee. But don't tell me that a girl who usually can't afford and doesn't use taxis, you just use motorbike taxis or subway or SkyTrain, all of a sudden needs me to pay for her taxi. Nope, haven't earned it yet. Now, if she gets here on her own and the date goes well and I see a future with this girl of any type, casual or serious, then absolutely I will order her a car service back. It's not even going to be a taxi. It's going to be a nice car service. But don't pay these women up front when they haven't deserved anything yet. Anything at all. And yet these guys come here and they simp and they simp and they simp. But by the way, just to finish the conversation, I see there's a comment there that I want to answer in a live chat. This is the reality. This is something that you guys just have to assume that this is a reality. So what to do about it? Now, even if you're a good man, you do have, it's kind of, I guess it's a new thing that you have to provide. You have to provide, good living. You have to make good decisions. You have to be able to provide security and comfort and all that stuff. One of the things, if you want to get a girl, especially a good girl, a beautiful girl, you have to provide drama. I know it sounds kind of crazy, but you have to provide drama. Now, I'm not saying, cheat and all that stuff, but especially in the beginning. For example, one of the best ways to provide a bit of a drama, a bit of a mystery, if you will, don't reply to their messages very often. You know what I mean? When you do, make some pauses between them, and never, ever, ever in the first 24 hours. And I think I don't know if I make videos and it takes them a while to get posted. Like I have a 1 month worth of videos to be posted every day. So I think I already posted a video how you should make no compliment to a girl that you just met, at least in the first 24 hours. I mean, look at the guys, even in movies. A lot of movies will tell you that the guy who gets a girl does not get it with a bunch of, oh, you're so beautiful, can I give you some money? No, it's through, flirting, building sexual tension and all that stuff, but also talking to her like a regular person. And a lot of times challenging her. I think last live stream I talked about how a better way to, gauge the interest and essentially kind of create interest from a girl to you is not only because you're acting very different from other guys and especially simps, but to challenge her. This is not something these women get on daily basis. And when they get challenged, they're realizing that they're actually being treated more like a human being rather than just a piece of meat or essentially a hooker. If all you're trying to do is just hand over her a bunch of cash, whether directly or through a bartender, doesn't really matter. You're buying her shit, right? Nothing tells a woman that you're not worth anything than giving her money, because that just means that you concede to the fact that really the only thing you have to offer to a girl is money. That means you have nothing else. And compliments, that's another thing. At least money you have to earn. Compliments are free to you, and if you just pass it over, then then it means absolutely nothing to these women, as it shouldn't, as it should not. So this, and this is kind of an interesting concept that a lot of guys, I don't think they understand, but especially in the beginning, a lot of guys put these girls on a pedestal. Oh, a girl's talking to me, I'm so lucky, or this girl is so beautiful, I really want to try hard. Listen, here's the thing. If you just live your own life, and you don't need, you may want a wife, but you don't need a wife, you have plenty of shit to do, and you don't have time to chat with women all the time, right? You can have a bit of a conversation. You can also say, hey, listen, and by the way, don't just not answer them all of a sudden. Yeah, sometimes you want to do that to create a little bit of mystery, but sometimes I say, hey, listen, I got to finish something for work, or hey, listen, I'm going out with a friend, I'll let you know, or I'm going to this event, and then all of a sudden, oh, this guy's got a full life. As a matter of fact, he's not even bothering to prioritize me above any of what he's got going on. Wow, his life must be really good. I would love to be a guest in that life. And also, he doesn't seem to desperately need me. And that's the thing that these women actually want. They want mystery. They want a guy not to be available, because it tells them in this weird ways with female logic that this guy is got something really good going on in his life, where even a beautiful girl like me is not really that much of a priority. And a lot of times they assume that, wow, if he's treating me, a beautiful princess, like this, he probably has other more beautiful princesses in his life. Ooh, I better compete because I want that too. So like I said, don't lie, don't cheat, don't do all of that stuff, right? But you can absolutely create naturally, because you should be a busy guy who does not just simp for women just because they showed up in your dating app. Well, I mean, don't use dating apps, and in your coffee shop or in your life or whatever. So that does, especially in the beginning, that does create mystery, that does create a lot of attraction. Now, you're probably saying, well, Alex, I've already tried that, and a lot of times, and a lot of these women just leave. Let them. That means that they never had an actual attraction to you. They were just trying to create what I call a subscriber, right? Women do this all the time. There's been many studies done, including Tinder, that women get online and give out their phone numbers and IG handles, not to ever meet a guy, not to ever have a relationship. They're there for the most addictive drug on the market right now for women besides money, which is attention and compliments, time that you spend with them, any type of validation that you give them. And so, and I call men who are giving them this attention consistently with getting pretty much nothing in return, just a little bit of a hope that maybe one day it happens, but it never does. I call them subscribers, right? So if she really does not react to you kind of back him or being busy or not getting back to her, in as fast as other guys, and she left, that's because you proved to her that you're not a very good simp and a not very good subscriber. So let those women go. They're not here to date you. They're not here to date anybody. They're here for the compliments and a lot of times, Venmo transactions. So let them go. This is the best thing you can do, because the majority of women are that way. And if you're going to try to test every single one of them, you will lose a lot of time, money, and honestly, probably self-respect. So let those go. But when you meet a girl who has some interest in you, she's answering your messages, you're having a conversation, make sure you do not put her on the top of the priority list. Make sure that you live your normal life as you should. And that would be the part of her attraction. That is what's going to create mystery, and that's what's going to create a little bit of drama in her head. Now, unfortunately, throughout your relationship, you do have to kind of keep it spicy in terms of creating drama. Don't do it in a hurtful way. There are many different ways how you can do it, right? Even taking a girl out, on regular dates and giving her flowers, you can still do a lot, because if you're sitting at home, there's not much of a drama you can start up, right? Except for call her fat or something like that. Though sometimes it's a compliment, right? But if you're out and about, that creates a little bit more tension, right? All of a sudden, you're kind of a couple who is dating almost, right? The recipe for the successful marriage is never stop dating. And I don't think a lot of people know. And if you're dating, all of a sudden, she might be like a little insecure. Will he like the dress I'm wearing for him, right? You may talk about other couples like, oh my God, look, they dress very appropriate for each other. Look how beautiful she looks for him. She makes him look better, right? You can have those conversations, with your honest partner, and then that will create a bit of a tension. He's like, well, am I wearing the right clothes to make my man look good? You know what I mean? So little things here and there do add up. This, people would call it spice, right? But it's really a little bit of a drama that women are craving. And some women crave more drama, some women crave less drama. So you kind of have to understand that that's what they want. If they for some reason decided that, yes, I do want a boring good man like me, you do have to play a little bit of that game and give them a little bit of what they want too. By the way, they will never admit this. They will never admit this. Women will never admit that they need drama in their life. They need a little bit of, but they do. And it is kind of your job to sprinkle that a little bit, especially up front. So don't compliment them, don't consistently spend your time and take pictures of what you're doing and what you're doing, it'll always be in there. Don't do that. Now, I got to tell you, I love doing that actually. Once I'm in a relationship, I always love sharing how my day is going and knowing how her day is going. I kind of like being attached, to each other's hips. But that's when you kind of already made it as a couple. But especially in the beginning, my goodness, you got to give them drama. By the way, it's very unfortunate because essentially you kind of have to play a bit of a game. And I hate playing games, but it is what it is. But at the end of the day, being a good man is the worst thing you can be for women. And it is only in countries like Thailand and Southeast Asia country and Africa, where I'm going next month, and South America, where you can still find women who actually don't mind a boring life. You still have to nudge them a little bit and poke them a little bit into a little bit of a spicy life, but at the end of the day, they are just craving it, and you got to give it to them. So, all right, let me quickly address this quick comment. Alex, hi from Sacramento. Wow, I miss Sacramento. Sacramento is where I lived for about 5 years. I did share some of that time with living in Las Vegas. I moved there because, when I split up with my ex, I started my previous channel, and I really wanted to. I quit my main job, my day job that was paying me really good money, but I was already making a little bit on the new channel. Then I was like, you know what? Let me just go in for 1 year. And, I finally ended up making enough money to live on. But in Sacramento is where I went. It was much more affordable. I was even cooking my own meals. I sold my Tesla, and I just got a little Chevy Volt, which actually turned out to be an amazing car. So yeah, all right. FA242 says, hi from Sacramento. I own Tesla since 2015 and followed your Tesla channel for years. Thank you so much. I was just talking about it. Now I sold my Tesla. I listened to you and just landed in Onut a couple of hours ago today. Onut? Are you talking about Onut area here in Bangkok? Okay. If that's true, please reach out to me under the Million Man Project on Instagram or Twitter or X or whatever. And if you have any questions, especially if you came here as a passport bro or with any questions, I'm always happy to answer and, give you some advice where you don't have to make the same mistakes. Just remember, the dating life here is not as easy as people think. Oh, you're just going to show up and a bunch of these amazing Thai women are going to show up. They're all wife material, like at the airport. No. But at the same time, I hate to say, the millionmanproject.com is where I've posted every single little detail about how to move to another country, not necessarily Thailand, how to pick the country, how to sort of wind down your life in whatever country of origin you have, and how to start your life completely. Oh, you say yes. Wow. Well, welcome to Thailand. I would love to know why you picked Thailand. Are you here to stay or just visiting, feeling it out? What is the reason why you came here. I would love to know that, because guys come here. I've noticed there are very few passport bros like myself here, which is surprising, right? Because it's Thailand. Everybody thinks Thailand and Philippines and Colombia maybe are the mecca for passport bros. I have to say that most guys who are here, they're not even here to stay for too long. This is why I haven't made that many friends here, because a lot of men here, they come here for work. They come here for maybe as digital nomads to stay here for a few months and then move on to another country. So a lot of times, most men here cannot possibly succeed with women, because a lot of these women know that these guys are not going to stay. These guys don't really speak Thai because it's a very, very difficult language to learn. And so, and they basically here to kind of like more affordable lifestyle. This is definitely more chill lifestyle. The food is amazing. There's pretty much no crime. You don't have to look over your shoulder or carry a gun like I did in America. The healthcare here is amazing. Though a lot of the same guys don't even take advantage of that. They don't even take advantage of that. And that's unfortunate. So majority of guys who come here, they essentially don't really even know why they came here or how to set up this life in a good way. Like, the guys come here and I say, hey guys, you really need to learn Thai. If you want to meet those amazing traditional Thai women that you came here for, well, you're not going to find them in a tourist areas wearing, short shorts and tattoos and speaking English. No, you might as well go back to America and date American women. But if you're here to find those amazing traditional women, well, you better learn their language, because they're not speaking yours. Most of these traditional women, they do not speak English. So you got to start learning this very difficult language. And I got to tell you, like, I am 2 years in, and I have probably 2 more years to go. And my Thai is all right. It's okay. It's very basic, but it's good enough for me to go out on dates with girls where I can speak a little bit, back and forth. If I have to talk about something a little bit more complicated, there's always Google Translate. And by the way, the language is so different than English and most of the other languages that Western people speak, that the Google Translate actually is unable to translate a lot of times things correctly. And if you do speak Thai even a little bit like me, you already know how to phrase things so they get translated correctly into Thai. And then when a girl says something back and you go like, what the hell does this mean? You kind of know what she meant, So, like, for example, a lot of guys wonder like, hey, every day this girl asks me if I've eaten yet, if I had some food yet. And what the my mom doesn't even ask me this anymore. Well, in Thai, Khao Ruyang means kind of, have you had rice yet? Have you had food yet? But that's kind of like, how are you? That's just how people say, how are you? In America, people ask, how are you? Do they really care for you to tell them how you are doing right now? Most of the time, no. Same thing here. Have you had food yet? Have you had rice yet? And so I'm just trying to tell you that even when, like, I don't speak that great of Thai, I start understanding when the Google Translate completely butchers a sentence, and that happens a lot. So because of that, communication is actually better, because you know how to use Google Translate, because you understand the language and you understand how she phrases her sentences. So this is one of those things where, a lot of guys go like, nah, I'm too lazy, but I already, I can just throw some money on this girl. She'll be impressed with my money. She'll go out with me and I'll essentially buy her, right? And her family. God, man, I've known so many guys who come here and just get themselves, like, they end up going out with the first girl who winked at them, because, they haven't had as much success in America. And the first girl who goes like, hey, and even genuinely likes them, boom, they're ready to marry this girl. They fall in love. They start, and again, they're simps. A lot of these guys are simps. So they just start throwing money at this girl, started taking them to this nice restaurants, because to them, they're like, well, it's not expensive. It's $20. That's nothing, man. And it's like, no, you don't understand. It's nothing to you, but to her, that's a lot of fucking money. So you're spoiling her, like, right off the bat. The guys take them on vacations right away, because, yeah, like, you can go to Vietnam from here. It costs like $100 two-way ticket, right? And it costs like $25 for a nice hotel room in Vietnam, and boom, you're technically taking her to another country. But to her, it's a big deal. It's a big experience. And And guys do this all the fucking time, and they just don't understand that they're ruining the women, not just for everybody else, but for themselves. And then they start buying this women's stuff, and then they start giving them money for their family. And then a lot of times they said, well, this girl's working really hard. I'm just gonna let her quit her job, and now I'll just pay for all the expenses. We'll move in together. And it's like, dude, she needs to be a useful member of the society. She has friends at work, and you know what, she also has enemies maybe at work and people she doesn't like, but that's part of life. You know what I mean? Her family appreciates her more because she is a working woman, and not someone who's just sitting and sucking your dick all day. And even if you should cooking your food, but most of these women, they don't even cook and clean or do any of that stuff, right? These losers will pay for these women, and these women will do nothing in return. I mean, I live in a very nice building, one of probably the best brands of condos here in Thailand, and I see these dudes with their girlfriends, who we have two gyms, and these girls don't bother using any of these gyms. And then I would sit, like right now, it's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go on my walk, and I'll be damned if I don't see at least one of those girls coming down and getting a delivery so they can have dinner. Holy shit. I mean, if you have a live-in Thai girlfriend or whatever country you're in, right, who you basically paying for everything, and she went from, a girl who had to work 12-hour days out in 100-degree and 100% humidity heat, to being a princess on the couch watching Netflix all day, right? From like a piece of crap $40 phone to a $1,500 foldable iPhone, whatever the fuck they make now, right? And this bitch cannot even cook you a dinner. She's actually using your money and going downstairs to bring dinner that she didn't cook. This happens all the fucking time. And this is why I always try to tell these guys, you can't come here and bring your loser asses and attitude and simping with you. You will have the same goddamn results. And a lot of these guys just don't even know what's available. Like, when these guys start, like, even accidentally, they'll match with a girl who ends up like not speaking English, and I guess they don't even understand that she's using Google Translate, and they end up meeting this women and having to use Google Translate. Like, they go like, whoa, like, this girl's amazing. Like, I mean, she did this and this. I didn't even know women do that on a, like, and it's like, yeah, dude, you don't know what a good woman is. You're not ready yet. You're not ready. Take my course, or just look around. Don't just get the first English-speaking Thai girl. Again, I'm nothing against English-speaking Thai girls. Well, I don't date them, but I'm just saying they're good people. Mainly Thai people are amazing people, no matter what, but whatever country you're in. All right, so Nick says, Alex, hi from Michigan. All right, maybe a Red Wings fan. I love Red Wings. I mean, we've had a very disappointing season, but I'm excited about the next season. Hopefully, the wiser plan takes a better turn, but hopefully you are a Red Wings fan. Followed your EV channel for almost a decade. Wow, I appreciate it. It has been pretty much almost a decade with my EV channel. Love your new channel. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much. I mean, you probably know why I stopped my previous channel, and it's a shame. Not all of it was because I wanted to start this one. It just kind of turned out that, the timing was perfect. And I know, like, I can't pretty much not do anything beyond this channel that's public facing, or any other social media account, because what I'm doing right now is considered to be hate speech, right? Misogyny. So, I knew I had to quit everything else that I was doing and forfeit any other opportunities, and even make the transition very, very carefully, in order not to hurt some of the people who became associates of mine in electric vehicle and YouTube industry, right? Now, I hope with time, this red pill movement becomes just a man's movement. It's, we're no longer going to be called, misogynistic speak. I just turned my laundry into the laundry service, and but I just made myself a t-shirt that said toxic masculinity. Then I had my logo, served daily. Right? We need to own these terms, and we need to basically get this into the mainstream culture and wake most of these guys up who are just still simping. You won't believe, especially in the Red Note. Red Note is where I get most of my comments for some reason. Red Note is like Chinese alternative to TikTok that everybody went to when they thought that TikTok was going to get banned. And the amount of hate that I'm getting, and I'm a tiny little social media account right now, right? Um, and the amount of hate that I'm already getting from women and simp, beta males is unbelievable. As a matter of fact, I was thinking that one of my live streams, I just don't know how to organize this. Maybe I can do some screenshots, but basically, all the comments that I'm getting from these modern women and just like insults and hate, and it's kind of weird, right? Because I'm a passport bro. Literally, my whole goal and what I'm preaching here is just don't do anything with those women. Just leave them alone. Like, these women are hating on somebody who literally just preaching, leave them alone. They asked us to leave them alone, right? And we left them alone, and now they're not happy, you know. But in the number of men who are still going after me, you know, now most of these comments are divided into like 5 different categories. Um, what is the Instagram ID? It's the same. The Million Man Project, at the Million Man Project on Instagram. And I think on my YouTube channel in the header, it should be there somewhere, or maybe in the about section. But yeah, the Million Man Project. Um, and the hate comments are divided into like 4 or 5 different categories, right? Some are just name calling, right? But because I live in Thailand, of course, I'll be get called pedophile or child molester or whatever, whatever they learned from the Hangover. Oh, ladyboy lover, right? Which is in a different category, but still, my point was that whatever they've learned from the Hangover movies or in their trailer park, like stuff like that. The one that I've seen a lot, not just towards me, towards some other red pill influencers, is who hurt you? And I don't even understand what that means. Like, nobody hurt me. That's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to wake up other men who did get hurt by women like you, but it doesn't even make sense sometimes, right? And of course, like, oh yeah, thank God you're far away in Thailand because we didn't want you here anyway. Oh, I don't know. The rising numbers of antidepressants and that single women in their 30s and 40s are using, and number of cats that they're adopting beyond their 40s, begs to different. And there are more and more and more women coming out on social media and asking, like, where the fuck are all good men are at? As a matter of fact, even before I left 2 years ago, when I went to some of the bars, I've noticed there are so few men in bars now, and when they are there, they're there to hang out with other guys. They just no longer go into bars to meet women, because it makes no sense to buy women drinks anymore at $10, $15, $20 and never hear from them again. And just generally the attitude is just not worth it. So I predict this is going to happen more and more in Western countries, where men are just going to disappear from any type of dating social settings. As a matter of fact, I think the dating apps are going to be next in terms of what men are going to do, which is just leave. Like, I always use dating apps when from back in the day, and before that, there weren't really apps, right? There were websites like Match.com, and there were Yahoo Personals. And I found amazing women. I think 2 out of 3 of my long-term relationships came from dating services, because at that time, men and women especially women, were using dating services to find a good man. That's no longer the case. Now, I don't know what's taking so long, you guys, especially in America and Western countries, to realize that this is the worst way to meet women nowadays. Again, except for some local apps in some of these traditional countries. So, for example, here in Thailand, we have Thai Friendly and Thai Cupid. Now, are 80% of good-looking women there are all hookers? Yes, they are. Are Thai Friendly and Thai Cupid doing anything about it? Doesn't seem that way. So you're there for 20%. That's why you ask them up front, hey, are you a freelancer? And of course, are you a ladyboy? That's an important one here as well. But at least you have something to work with, where in America, in other Western countries, you have nothing. You just have nothing. And I think at this point, more and more guys are realizing that. I think it's just a matter of some of them starting to realize that, okay, I'd rather just, yes, I may not be one of those guys who would go to social events or approach women out and about. But I think because that's the scary alternative, I'd rather sit in a dating app and try to swipe for more women and hope that the next one's going to be any different. She won't be. But I think now guys are realizing, why am I wasting this money and time? Why? I have other things to do. I'd rather, I just made a video and I'll publish it soon about how this one guy just realized that, taking up a hobby is so much better than being stood up on dates or being ghosted on, social media or dating apps. And he's just like, fuck it. At least I'm happy doing this. The result's still the same. I still end up at home on a Friday night or a Saturday night, except for I didn't spend a whole week talking to a girl who's going to ghost me. I didn't have to drive to the place where she was going to stand me up. I was home all along doing my hobby. So why not? So that's the sad reality that we have to all realize and work with. So, all right. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thank you, Nick, for following me all the way to this channel. And I don't know this other guy's name, FA242, but welcome to Thailand. I hope you reach out to me. Maybe you already have on X or Instagram, and I'm happy to answer questions. Please be prepared that I will probably be very tough on you, because I feel like, a lot of times what these guys are experiencing here is complete misunderstanding of what's happening and what the reality is. They don't understand why they can't do the same things that they did 5 years ago or 10 years ago in America. And they also don't understand that the culture here is very different. Like, approaching a girl out and about in public is a no-no. A traditional girl would never be approached, especially she would not want to be seen being approached by a foreigner out in public and kind of being picked up. That's not what good girls do, right? They don't get picked up at the subway or at the coffee shop by a foreigner. So that's not forget about those skills. There's different, better ways how you meet women here. And the type of women that you're looking for is probably the type of a woman that you've never even heard of before or experienced most of the time. So like I said, the best way I would suggest, and again, I know I'm plugging my only real service here, but I suggest going right here, themillionmanproject.com. And at least when you go there, look at the table of contents. Look how long that table of contents is. That way you will at least get an idea of what are the things you need to think about, as you think about your dating life and how you can escape all this bullshit in America or another European country, and seriously consider and understand the benefits and the challenges of coming to a country like this. I got to tell you though, I've never been happier. I was already a happy guy. And I got to tell you guys, in America, I have done pretty well with women. Even in the last couple of years where things were obviously all fucked up already, I still got lucky enough to have a few small, short-term relationships that were with wonderful women. And it was fine. I was still able to get laid, but it was at such a higher sort of a cost. And I don't mean money-wise, that and that all of that led me to leave. The last girl I was seeing, she was such a good girl, but she was also not from America. As a matter of fact, she did not speak any English. We had to use Google Translate in America. She ended up going back to Panama because she didn't like America either, and that's how we kind of had to break up. I didn't think that we're a great fit, like maybe as potential marriage in the future, but for the few months that we were a couple and companions to one another, as we both knew these were our last months and weeks in America, she was such a wonderful and amazing person. I actually just talked to her a couple of days ago because we kept in touch. And, so I've done still pretty well in America before I left, but this is a whole different ball game. And this is, I think, what the guys who come here don't always understand. They don't even understand what kind of benefits they can get if they get through all of the bullshit, if they shed all of their simping, if they improve themselves as a man, if they figure out how to be happy by themselves as a man. And that's what attracts those amazing women. All of that is a lot of amount of work, including learning Thai, but it is absolutely very well worth it. All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. This was fun. Hopefully, you understand a little bit more about why, your choices are limited and what choices you actually have, and most importantly, that you do need to become a little bit of a bad boy without being a dick and an asshole, to attract women who are women and need some drama in their lives. I hate to put it this way, but it is a reality. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. And as usual, I'll see you next week. There's a possibility that I am going to go to this exotic island, about 3 hours away here, with just the most amazing beaches I've ever seen. So I might do my live stream a day earlier, so it would be Monday instead of Tuesday. But if not, then I will see you. I will see you next week for sure. So have an amazing the rest of the day, and